Hello, welcome back to the Sam Beast YouTube channel, and today for ITAM Shorts we're talking to Barry Pilling, who is a software licensing guru and current operations director at ITSX Assure, a new IT asset management consultancy firm. So in this ITAM Short, basically I wanted to know from Barry, where is the best place to find out about software licensing metrics or use rights? You know, if you're a beginner or an advanced software asset management professional, where can you go? And this is Barry's answer. So enjoy, and we hope to see you on the next video.
IBM have a lot of really good information on their website if you know what to search for. Obviously, so for example, they have so part of their contracts are their license information documents, and pretty much all of the license information documents for most products in their catalog going back for years and years and years are available on their website.
Okay.
But they have a really good knowledge center. It's actually called the IBM Knowledge Center, knowledge base as well, where you can go and search for information about IBM technologies, IBM products and programs, all that sort of stuff. And they actually have a really good software licensing website as well, where it will give you an overview of things like Passport Advantage, subcapacity licensing, full capacity licensing, license metric tool, the new IBM license, is it ILS? IBM
Yeah, the service.
The new service, yeah, the IBM license service and the container stuff. And it's all on there if you know what to look for. It's just about going out there and search for it. Oracle, not quite so forthcoming, and nor SAP. I know that's such a shock, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, slanderous. How could you say Oracle are not forthcoming with their education information about licensing?
And SAP are exactly the same. So SAP actually do have a licensing guide, as they like to call it. But it is, I don't know if it's intentionally so, but it's very vague in places, particularly around like sort of key topics like indirect access, which is probably one of the biggest licensing issues in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And it is very, very vague around that. It says, oh, well, this is okay, this isn't okay, here's your scenarios for this. I mean, and they actually brought out a guide a couple of years ago for the indirect access guide. It still leaves questions unanswered, and people aren't really surprised by that. And Oracle, I mean, they don't provide you with any out and out information, but obviously they do have in their document sets lots of Oracle licensing documents, particularly around the middleware and the database technologies. Obviously, you'll see all of their policies, but then it's trying to figure out what would actually apply in any given situation. So yeah, they're not as helpful as vendors like IBM and Microsoft, to be fair.
But there is information out there if you are looking to expand your knowledge base. And like Barry said earlier, which is a nice caveat back to it, is there are like LinkedIn groups and there's an ITAM Review listeners group and stuff. So there are resources out there that you can use if you're not sure on something.
And I think there's some really good people you can follow on LinkedIn as well. I mean, if you want to know anything about Oracle licensing, Frederick Phillipson is the man to follow on LinkedIn.
The goat.
Yeah, I mean there are lots of Oracle specific Oracle consultancies founded very often in Europe by former Oracle employees, people like Richard Spithoven, who for Belay, which is now being bought by Software One. You've got Daniel Hesslink, you've got Frederick Phillipson. But if you want to learn about Oracle licensing, Frederick, because he posts so much stuff about Oracle licensing and he does so much free content.
Yeah, it'd be silly not to get involved for free stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And with IBM, Piers McDonnell is the man to follow for that, or maybe Eric Chu. Piers again, he does a huge amount of free content. He does a lot of IBM licensing tips on LinkedIn, and it's the sort of stuff I look at the stuff he turns out and think, what, I should be doing more of that, but I just don't get the time. I'd love to do more of that. I just never actually set aside the time.
No, absolutely. Yeah, there's lots of knowledge. Yeah, like you said, if you're not already, you don't even have to like connect with them on LinkedIn. You can actually just follow them to see all the updates and stuff. And but I know Piers and Frederick in particular, they do free LinkedIn events and stuff as well, which are like almost full-blown webinars. So they're really worth having a look if you want to get more of an understanding or an overview, especially on IBM and Oracle licensing. Yeah, people like Rich Gibbons for Microsoft and yourself, obviously. So it doesn't have to be just you on your own trying to Google stuff and getting nowhere. There's a whole community of people out there that can absolutely help.
Yeah, and I think as well, actually, kind of touching on that point, I think Sam and ITAM as a community is really, really good because it is quite a small industry. Yes, there are globally thousands of people that actually have roles, whether it be a consultancy or whether it be an end user organization or whatever else. But it is a smallish community, you know, particularly I think in the freelance consulting market, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Or if you don't know somebody, you know somebody that does know them.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But it is, I mean, if I've ever had a question about something licensing related or SAM related, I've never had anyone say, refuse to answer. You know, you go to someone and ask a question. Or judge you for it, yeah, absolutely. Because it's a much underrated and exceedingly complex industry because there are so many things to look at, you know. So, yeah.